And it was because this person was 36 and I was 21. When I was in my early 20s, I unfortunately crossed paths with a man who was about 15 years my senior. And I dated him just for a few months, but I cite that experience as the most harmful romantic experience that I've ever had.
There's a particular conversation that keeps popping online lately, and I think people avoid having this conversation because it makes them very uncomfortable. This conversation is about age gap relationships, especially the one where the woman is significantly younger and the man is way older. The internet loves to frame this situation in very simple ways. Some people romanticize them and say things like, oh, age is just a number, love is love, people can do whatever they want. Other people jump into outrage without explaining why these relationships can be concerning in the first place. The reality sits somewhere in the middle, and the part of the conversation that deserves more attention is something people call the adultification of young women. So now, what is adultification, if you may ask? Adultification simply means where the society treats somebody who is technically an adult as if they have the emotional maturity, life experience, and decision-making ability of someone much older, even when it's not true yet. This is something that happens a lot with women in their late teens and early 20s. The moment someone turns 18 or 21, society starts acting as if they are fully developed adults who completely understand life, relationships, and long-term consequences. Think about how young somebody really is at 19, 20, 21, 22, even 23, even 24. But let's stop at 23. These are people who are just maybe leaving school. They just left school, starting to understand independence, starting to understand how life works, just figuring out what they believe about life, money, careers, relationships, and identity. Most people at that age are still discovering who they are. Their brains are literally still developing. Their priorities are always shifting, and their understanding of the world is still forming. Despite all of that, society still pushes these young women into situations that require a level of maturity that they may not fully have yet. One of those situations is marriage to significantly older men. It's surprisingly common to see parents, communities, people encouraging or accepting relationships where a woman in her early 20s is in a relationship with or getting married to a man that is 15, 20, even 20-something years older than her. The problem is that legality and life experience are not the same thing. A 35-year-old man has lived through an entirely different stage of life compared to someone of 20 or 21. That man has likely been working for years, navigating relationships for years, learning how to influence people, learning how the world works. He has had time to develop emotional strategies, communication skills, financial independence, and social confidence that someone in their early 20s is beginning to build. When two people with that different level of experience enter into a relationship, the power dynamics are rarely equal.
I feel so strongly about age gap relationships, and I feel like anytime I'm talking to younger people, particularly if they are in their teenage years or in their early 20s, I'm always going to encourage you to steer clear of people who are significantly older than you. And I think that when it comes to making the decision about if somebody is significantly older than you, there can be a little bit of gray area there. But I think it becomes clear in things like, are you from the same generation? Is age an issue in your relationship? And I think if age is an issue in your relationship, that's going to probably be the clearest indicator that somebody probably is much older than you. In this experience of dating this person who was 15 years my senior, he actually initially lied to me about his age. So he told me he was about 7 years older, which in itself is already a massive age gap. So I even have had to ask my 21-year-old self, why were you okay with dating somebody who you believed was 7 years older than you? And I realized it's because society prepared me to be able to accept the advances of men that were older than me, because people were constantly aging me. When I was growing up as a child, I was taller than my peers, so my body was developing, and I began to notice that I was getting attention from men that were older. The first time that I remember being approached, somebody that was older than me, I was 9 years old. And I remember this very specifically because I was at a 10th birthday party for my friend. Obviously, that person was clearly predatory, but this is a theme that seemed to run through as I got older. And this was not even just men. It was often people in my life that were reminding me that, oh my gosh, like, what? You're only this age? You look so much older. And I think that I wore that as a bit of a badge of honor. It was flattering to be perceived as older, particularly in your teenage years. But I look back on that and I think, that actually was a massive problem. And it's something that I'm very mindful of not doing when I'm around children now. I do not age children under any circumstances. If you are 7, you are a 7-year-old. I do not use language like you are the man of the house, or you're a woman now, or whatever it is. Like, we have to let children be children, because they grow up and then they believe certain things about themselves, and it makes certain things okay, such as an older person approaching you. I cite that experience as being so harmful because this person had so much life experience above me that the relationship was just not equitable. There were times where I would try to stand up for myself, and this person was just able to kind of shut me down. Beyond feeling manipulated, we had nothing to talk about. And it was because this person was 36 and I was 21. I think it's important to, and as the person who is the younger person in the party, to ask yourself, why is it that you think that this older person wants to date you? And it's not because you're more mature. It's not because this person just really wants to get to know you and, well, you know, we're both adults. No, it's because your mind is more malleable. I know that in this experience, that person, they saw me coming. They saw my naiveness. They saw my age, and they saw my lack of life experience. And they were able to use that to their advantage. Please do not let that older person steal your energy. Date somebody in your age bracket.
Many people like to dismiss this conversation by saying that younger women willingly choose these relationships, but choice is not always as simple as it sounds. A person can choose something while still lacking the life experience needed to maybe recognize unhealthy patterns. Sometimes younger women will interpret control as protection, insecurity as protection, intensity as love, because they've not yet had enough time or experience to see how those behaviors play out in the long term. Another thing is that some men prefer much younger women because they know that these women are still forming understanding of relationships. These women are still naive. They don't know what they want, and they don't know what they are doing. A woman who is still discovering herself is easier to influence, easier to impress, and sometimes easier to control. A woman who is in her late 20s to early 30s, who has lived independently, built a career for herself, experienced different relationships, and learned from her mistakes, will often question things that a younger woman would accept without thinking twice. This is why the age of women matter in conversations like this. Age gap relationships are not automatically bad. Two people in a 10 or 15-year age gap relationship can actually build a healthy relationship. The key factor here is the life stage and maturity. A 30-year-old woman or a 35-year-old woman dating a 45-year-old woman is completely different from when a 21-year-old woman or a 19-year-old woman is dating a 45-year-old woman. A woman in her late 20s or 30s has had time to develop her identity, her financial independence. She knows what she wants for her life, her personal boundaries. She has experienced life to the extent that she knows what manipulation looks like. She knows what imbalance looks like, and she knows what disrespect looks like. This is why adultification of young women is very dangerous. Society treats them like they are fully equipped adults while also still ignoring how much learning and growth still happens in that early 20s. Parents encourage relationships like this because maybe they believe that an older man will provide financial security, stability, or even maturity. Parents who allow or even celebrate these large age gaps for their young daughters sometimes forget that marriage is about navigating life decisions, negotiating boundaries, building a partnership between two people who are on relatively equal footing. A relationship where one person is still trying to figure out who they are and the other person has already built an established life can easily shift into a dynamic where one person's voice carries more weight than the other. A woman in her early 30s entering into an age gap relationship does so with a very clear understanding of herself and her expectations. She has likely faced disappointments, made independent choices, and she has developed a sense of autonomy that protects her from being easily influenced. A woman at 19, 20, 21, 22 is still learning those lessons in real time. Now, none of these means that young women are incapable of making decisions or that every age gap relationship is automatically harmful. The point is that society should stop pretending that legal age is automatically equal to emotional readiness for every type of relationship dynamic. A little more honesty about power, experience, and maturity will help people make better decisions rather than romanticizing relationships that can easily become unbalanced. And mind you, it's not to say that there are no good older men that would not take advantage of a woman's age, or how innocent a woman is, or how that's a young woman, or how innocent a young woman is, or how naive she might be. But we don't know the kind of older man you will meet. You might meet an older man who is insecure, and you would not know, because an older woman will recognize insecurity in a minute. You might not know. So it's better to be safe than sorry. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this topic in the comment section. Are younger women, way younger women, supposed to be allowed or encouraged to go into age gap relationships? If your daughter is 19, 20, 21, 23, 22, and she tells you, oh, mommy, daddy, my husband to be is 45 years old, is 38 years old, would you encourage her to do that? I'd love to know your reasons in the comments. My name is Benita. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, all the love in the world. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.